Hey guys, this is going to be a Cryptid Christmas video. The rules and all that good jazz are going to be down in the description. But this is also going to be a video about a cryptid. It's usually around that time that I do these, so I figured go ahead and throw one up. What's it about? The TommyKnockers. I'm not talking about that freaking book by Stephen King either, that's a bunch of whatever. Hell no. What I'm talking about is the real legend of these things. Oh, lordy. They are part of Cornish and maybe Welsh and different parts of Gaelic and Celtic mythology. Not mythology, but lore. Now, what exactly do these things do? Well, they're little people, if you want to call them that. More closer to maybe gnomes or maybe even a leprechaun, potentially in their appearance. And supposedly the miners, throughout the states, would pretty much have to work with these creatures. And what I mean by that is, pretty much, they could either be friendly or pretty awful. The reason they're called TommyKnockers is because the knocking sound you would hear right before a cave-in, which many of these critters were blamed for causing. Pretty much, it's almost like anything else. You showed them respect within reason. They pretty much might be friendly with you. They may even do you a couple of favors. Like if you fed them or, left food out for them, or maybe even a couple of bits of coin, maybe, or some kind of something to show them respect. They usually will return it in kind. They might even warn you in some way or form if there's maybe like an ore of some kind, or a vein of some kind of ore that you were mining, or possibly if there was legitimately going to be a cave-in, not caused by them, to get the hell out of there. Like I said, it's kind of a quid pro quo. However, it seems more common that people piss them off and bad shit happen. They might steal your food, for example. Or they might cause a cave-in, some very unpleasant accidents to happen. Supposedly these little guys are not easy to find or to see because they're like 2 foot tall like that. They're literally among the little people of different cultures. And I'm not talking about someone who has, like a genetic condition where they have dwarfism or anything along those lines. That's a politically correct term and understandable. No, I'm talking about little people of legend. Just leaving it at that, so there's no miscommunication. Do I believe that there are other types of beings out there similar to this? Well, obviously. There's so many stories of brownies, imps, gnomes, obviously, that seem to fit this description. There seems to be sightings of little people all throughout the country, throughout the world, actually. There have been stories of them in Australia. Supposedly they tried to make life hell for the Aboriginal people. However, at the same time, they would even trade with them. These beings seem to really be big on respect. Now, I'm not saying you don't have some bad ones. I think a bunch of them are about as bad as it gets. But the majority seem to be almost like us. You treat me well, quid pro quo. So that's something very interesting to think about. Now, are these creatures fallen? I don't know. I definitely am skeptical on that to an extent, because I don't think everything is necessarily the spawn of a fallen angel in a person. I think there are other things going on. Maybe they were experimented on back in the day, or maybe they're just one of those old world creatures, like I've mentioned many times. That's what I firmly believe. They're old world beings. Beings that have evolved and developed beside of us. Just in their own way. They have adapted, probably living underground, obviously. So what happens if you live underground? Well, let me tell you something. When you live underground, most of the time you're not dealing with big mutated creatures, like in Hollywood. No, most likely, if something was forced to live underground or chose to or whatever, evolution works a lot faster than people think. It doesn't take no thousands upon thousands of years. It works with mutations and other things to actually respond to an adaptive crisis or something that has to be done. So most likely, I forgot what it's called. It's like environmental sizing or something. I don't know the proper term. But I know that if you're in an enclosed space, you're going to shrink. That's what I think is natural evolution in its own right. And you have to understand, I'm not talking about Charles Darwin's baloney. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about somebody to evolve and to change. Leave it at that. I've said many times, I believe such beings probably shrank in order to keep attention from drawing to them as well. Do I believe these creatures have some kind of knowledge and are they intelligent? Hell yeah, I think they're as smart as us, if not more so. I believe these beings have abilities, possibly, that we could only dream of. I'm just saying, they seem to sense things. They seem to be aware of dangers, as well as behind a lot of bad shit happening. There's been all kinds of stories about these things. Now, I've never known anyone personally who had an encounter with one of these guys, but I think it would be very interesting if someone would be willing to step up and talk with me about it. This one's going to kind of be a little bit shorter than usual, but I figured I should go ahead and put that out there. If anyone has had a sighting or an encounter with a little person, or maybe something like the TommyKnockers, anything like that, hit me up. You guys know my email. It's westvic@dogmancams.com. I am the producer for the Darkwaters family. And getting guests to be talking on these shows is what I do. Then leave it at that. My email again is westvic@dogmancams.com. Or you can hit me up in Facebook Messenger. You guys know who I am by now. Just going to leave it out there. If you want a chance to share your encounter with, people who are understanding, who will definitely relate with you about something like this, I'm just putting that out there. You guys be blessed and you be safe.